Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King. And today I'm going to be giving you part 5 of what if Naruto had the red Rinnegan and was neglected. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for what if Naruto was given a second chance on this channel and enjoy that as well. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what is we begin this new episode? Start the intro. So the last time we left off, Naruto made his way down the secret base. Going down there, the root agents started springing action. They thought that they stood a chance, but they didn't. Just by fighting, without using his Rinnegan, Naruto decimated all of them. They came towards him, he started to snap neck. He started to incinerate. He started to stab. Ninjas started to drop like fly. Danzo was watching everything. As he watched 65 of his ninjas die in minutes. He sent another bulk force, but Naruto simply slaughtered them as Danzo started to run. As Naruto slowly went after him, bursting open the door that Danzo trying to reinforce its steel. Naruto went inside. Danzo tried to attack him, but he stood no chance. Danzo then started to talk about his sister and how useless she was, which got Naruto furious as he crushed Danzo's throat, beating the living crap out of Danzo, not even touching him, using the force to smash him over and over and over in the wall. He then brought Danzo up back to the surface. As he had, the monkey summon ripped out Danzo's eye and ripped off his arm. Naruto then called the Shinigami. The Shinigami looked at him. Naruto told him to hand over his sister now, as he gave the Shinigami Danzo's soul. The Shinigami accepted as he handed over his sister's soul. The King of Hell was finished with his sister's body. Her body had aged to a 16-year-old, to what she should have been, but she still had the mindset of as 9-year-old. But that didn't matter because after all the things they went through, they have matured long before their time. As Naruto placed her soul back in her body, he was scared and hesitant as he heard her voice, as he made his way, as he saw his beautiful twin sister. As he hugged her, she hugged him back. Finally, being back in the world of living. Meanwhile, in his hand, Teiwaya was spying on the group. As Shingora came there and spoke to her. As Teiwaya watched as Gaara signed the treaty that he was given, after the terrible things they have heard about Sky Kingdom and Kankuro being there to witness it. But he wasn't killed because Naruto wouldn't like that. He was a sibling of the Kazekage after all, and they had a choice. But Minato ripped his phone up at Konoha. Jiraiya was furious, as Jiraiya felt regret and remorse about what happened back then. The twins never did anything wrong. They never asked to be born. But Minato simply gave him an order to find the other countries that did not sign with Naruto. As Jiraiya sighed and nodded and went off to do what he was told. As Minato was trying to find a way to seal away the jutsus, so he could kill Naruto himself. Meanwhile, Naruto and Naruko made their way towards the mental facility. They had heard about their mother, as they did not know if she loved them. But it's time, and if she didn't love them and she was same like Minato, they would simply kill her. As they got her and exit, as the alarm started to blaze, Naruto let Naruko have her fun, as she slaughtered a bunch of Jonin 11 ninjas, despite being dead. For 7 years now, her body was still enhanced, and she was still experimented on a lot by Orochimaru, and she still had different features that she could change into. As she slaughtered a man, as Seal and Kushina then started to light up, as Naruto made time move slow as he's moving at a different speed. Naruto removed that incinerated as Minato was thrown back with terrible force back in the room where he was, his ninjas quickly rushing to his aid. As Nora came and took away Kushina as Naruto told her to make Karin get started immediately. As Naruko refused to leave him alone as she wanted to come, so Naruto decided to make her come as they were going to visit the Hidden Rain. Naruto also called Sai and told him to kill all the root operatives that was with him and any others he could find. So yeah guys, so it's basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch your cursor please and check it out for yourself. So what is we begin this new episode? Underground Akatsuki meeting room at the Hidden Rain. There was 3 spies in the Akatsuki, 2 of them who shared the same experience. However, there was one of them that was recruited much longer. As the leader of the organization spoke, one of the spies that was listening to him, remember when he was recruited by the king of the Sakai country. It was 5 years ago when the godly boy was only 11. Flashback, art was something that lasts forever, unchangeable, indestructible, and uncorruptible. That was the philosophy Sorcerer of the Red Sand lived by since he started study under Lady Chiyo. Art was immaculate, art was eternal, art was forever, art could not die. I hear that you are a great spy master, a low voice said over Sorcery, broken body. Sorcery's eyes snapped open as he tried to move, but there were black rods stabbed right through each of his joints, and they disrupt his chakra. He saw that he was still in his regular clothes. It was just at least 5 minutes of no effort from this guy, but he was bested like he was a simple child. He felt like the person even allowed him to attack, so to make him realize that he couldn't do anything to win. As Sorcerer was going towards a mountain region where he heard about a mountain lion, where he wanted to try something to add to his arsenal with his puppets. But when he got there, he saw a red-haired child sitting down on the bleeding corpse of the lion. He has been searching for weeks for that lion, and now this boy. He got furious. He looked up. The Kazekage's body that he had gotten and turned him into a puppet was nailed to the ceiling with at least 50 of those rods. His Hiroko puppet lay at the back of the cave, shattered to pieces, too broken. It was smashed by an invisible force the moment Sorcerer decided to attack. As Sorcerer did not understand, as his puppet was just ripped apart with tremendous force. All of his 100 puppies were all nailed to the wall with at least 1 rod, like the boy was just showing off. Sorcerer had been bested like he was a child, by a child, and then he was pulled towards a boy before he was smashed down into the ground. Even though his puppet body didn't allow him to feel pain, he knew that he hit something hard because the force shattered the entire ground. He was then pinned to the ground and the fight was over. Sorcerer didn't understand what, but those eyes of his seemed so much powerful. He felt like he was looking in the eyes of a true god. Those black eyes with red rings. The face that was so pale and immaculate, that seemed to just glow in the dark. His red hair swaying in the non-existent breeze. Cool and calm, emotionless face. The only words that Sorcerer could say right now: you are art. The boy narrowed his eyes, and for the first time in years, Sorcerer feared for his life. I hear that you're a great spy master, the boy said again. Yes, the best on the continent, said Sorcerer. How may I be of service to you, he asked. A small twitch came to her lips. I want you to be my eyes and ears on the ground. That time, just hearing that, Sorcerer knew that this boy was a god. I will do anything to please you, my lord. The perfect art had to be protected, and as long as he lived, he would protect this perfect art no matter what. Good, you will hear from me soon. As Naruto's feet lifted off the ground. Wait, if I may be so forward, what is your name, my lord? All of the black rods were moved, as Sorcerer could get a better view. As he was on his knees. My name is Naruto, and I am the king of the Sakai Kingdom. End of flashback. 2 years later, he was invited to the Kingdom in the Sky, and Sorcerer felt humble. He became the deputy and head of the espionage and infiltration with UI Akiso. He was also given a gold rank under armor, which he wore with pride under his Akatsuki robes. The unbreakable armor did not hinder his puppet strings anyway. He reported everything to his master. As soon as he found about the S-rank organization, he reported to his king and inquired what to do next. He was ordered to agree. And the next few months, 2 spies from the Sky Kingdom was added in the Akatsuki. Sorcerer, what have your spies said about this rising threat? The kingdom in the sky asked Nagato, as he was at the head of the meeting room on his throne. As Konan stood beside her childhood friend, her eyes looking towards Sorcerer, so was the others. As he was in his newly rebuilt Naruko puppet, a spy in Kumo told me that the king and his forces marched in without being detected and brought the village to their control before the Raikage noticed. The leader of the organization and Konan remained stoic, but a few others were surprised. As Sorcerer continued, roughly 5,000 of the Sakai forces arrived, but only 1,000 actually took over. An informant told me that they were all at least joining rank, at least. As far as the report go, they said that their armor is impenetrable, and their skills are unparalleled to their king. Sorcerer came to a stop, unsure if he should continue or not. Yes, and what if their king, Itachi asked, speaking for the first time since the meeting began. Sorcerer remained silent until he got an order from the head of intelligence. Make them aware of who we are, and the might of our great king. The king of the Sakai Kingdom. He has the Rinnegan. There was a painful silence after he spoke as they all gaped at him. But his eyes. I apologize for saying this, leader. His eyes are much more powerful than yours. As Sorcerer passed a photo, as Nagato looked at it to see Naruto holding the Raikage by his neck over the village. The picture was taken by a bronze rank hunter ninja and had been given to Sorcerer before he left. How can there be 2 Rinnegan at a time, said Kisame. I do not know. I can only speculate that he had the genes in him to activate the eyes. The specific genes though, I do not know what they are. So how are you so sure that his eyes are greater than the leader's? Asked Akazu. Besides looking at it, said Sorcerer. True, the black with red rings looked more intimidated, but they needed more proof. My informant in Spring told me that he was able to grab a hold of Daimyo's neck from 7 feet away. That isn't proof. He was able to crush your heads with just a single thought. The members are not aware of the full power of the Rinnegan, not even the full power that Nagato possesses. So if he keeps on listing out these powers, they might not believe him. Still, if he was able to do that, which one of them would face a chance against him? They will know art soon. Sorcerer's eyes flicked to the other 2 spies, and they share a secret look. Most of them were not aware, but the king of the Sakai Kingdom and sister was going to enter his sister tomorrow. He had ordered Sorcerer to keep them all in the village until he arrived, while he was currently in the Fire Country hideout with his sister. Meanwhile, Obito forced down his grin. If this king, Rinnegan is so far more advanced than Nagato, then I will have no need for him, Obito thought. And also, I can get his army. The Kodamaku Kame is a very powerful jutsu, he said to himself. Time skip, the outskirts of the Fire Country. Sir, I still insist there are better living conditions in the capital than my hideout, said Sorcerer. He was hunched over in his Naruko puppet as he was talking to the king by the communicator, as Deidara was crackling on about something that he didn't really care about. I have not used that hideout in several years, my lord. Surely you would prefer lodging in the capital. I will pay for it myself, said Sorcerer. Naruto placed his hand on his hips as he looked up at the wooden shack in front of him. It was as wide as his arms outstretched and as tall as his arm over his head. The small building looked like it was falling apart. There was only trees around. For about 3 miles, going straight towards the Fire Country. They were at the edge. Naruto wasn't alarmed when he felt Naruko put her arms through his side as she rested her head on his shoulder. This feels familiar, she said. Naruto nodded. They used to live in a rat hole like this, but this place was 100 times better than that. Yes, but this is better, he said, as Naruto agreed. Is there a security system? Naruto asked. Yes, sir. A mere chakra sensor system that allows me entry once I'm near. What of a backdoor seal? Naruto asked, as he didn't have any of Sorcerer's chakra with him. So finding a way to get it right now was out of the question. There's a key under the floorboard inside. I have that in case I'm low on chakra. That will be all. Stay vigilant, Sorcerer. Of course, sir, said Sorcerer. As Naruto got the connection and picked up the double bag that Naruko dropped and placed over his shoulder as they walked forward. As Naruko pried open the door with her right arm, she winced when it fell over. Naruto waved her off. Sorcerer won't mind. As the place was small, they had to walk in by themselves. As Naruto looked towards the loose floorboard, as he waved his hand as the key fly out and came to him. After that, 3 floorboards and slide to the side. As Naruko looked over, there was a stairwell going down. As his sister held on to his arm, it was giving her flashback, this narrow space. But she trusts in his judgment. She clenched her eyes shut and allowed him to protect her. They soon got to the bottom of the stairs, until a light fizzled on. It was large. The place was large, 4 times larger than the Hokage office on the ground. There was 3 work tables at the center of the room, joined together by strongly well bars, but at the same time separate enough to show that they were individuals. They were unfinished wooden parts of puppets, and many unfinished puppets on the wall as well. Strangely, there was no cobwebs in the hideout. Naruto's eyes scanned around for any trap that Sasori might have forgotten about, because this place looked like it hadn't been touched for years now. As Naruto felt Naruko squeeze his hand, he then placed a hand over her hand, reassuring her that she could open her eyes. As she looked, the place was much larger than she thought, and despite the puppet on the walls, it didn't look that bad. Sasori of the Red Sand is one of my most trusted Groner subordinates. He's a S-rank ninja from the Hidden Sand who defected after killing the 3rd Kazekage, but he submitted to my will after I proved without a doubt that I was superior. As Naruko walked around the hideout, looking up at the puppets with fascination, while at the same time listening to her brother speak. He's such a great puppet master that he found a way to create his mortal body and switched it with an undying puppet body, and can also do things that other puppet masters could only dream of. As she looked around, I'm going to guess that he's a weird guy. She then smiled. I don't mean to offend, she said, as she still tried her best to be polite to those that serve her brother. Besides, Sasori was kind enough to make them stay in his hideout for the night. At least she could do was be nice, even though the puppet man was not here. He's a bit eccentric, but nothing bad, said Naruto, time skip. Yo, bro, said Naruko, as she was sitting on one of the tables. She was in a red shirt with black ninja pants and black sandals. It wasn't something she liked wearing, but since her brother was wearing a variation of it, she didn't mind it much. Her long red hair was tied up in a ponytail. Naruto was sitting on another table beside her, with his palm crossed in a ram seal, with his eyes closed. He said. What are you doing? She asked. I had to do a lot of things before I got to this moment. I killed Orochimaru. I started a successful high advanced kingdom in the sky. I control the greatest army in the world, and I have the highest admiration for my people. I even killed Danzo. The thing is, there was things that we were supposed to do together. Her shoulders sagged as she just smiled at him sadly. Oh bro, it's fine, she said. I might not have been alive when you did all those things, but you know, you did all of those things to make our dream come true. You could have killed father by yourself and it wouldn't change anything for me, she said. I know, he said. So, what were you doing, she asked, as she sat down right in front of him. I am not completely sure that you heard the full story, but father and mother was attacked by a mysterious man who ripped the 9 tails out of mother, making her go crazy. Can you imagine what will life be for us if that never happened to us? I can, she said. Not sure if I would like to change it, but it would have been good having 2 loving parents. I agree. Given how far I have gone with our ambition and dreams, this outcome is much better if he didn't attack. But I'm saying I have a small hunch where that masked man is. You think you found him? She said. Remember that lady that gave you the duffel bag of spare clothes and equipment? As Naruko nodded. She's a division head. There are 10 division heads for Sakai forces and 1 division head for the civilians. As she motioned for him to go on, one of my division head, Yuakiso, is the head of espionage and infiltration. That means he looked over all the spies I have in every country and every underground organization. I had a mole in Konoha that was under Danzo direct order, and Danzo never suspected it. As Naruko smiled to hear that, he is one of the smartest people in Konoha. My point is, there's a S-rank organization with about 10 ninjas making up their ranks, all of them S-rank. I have 3 spies in their ranks. Yuakiso, keep me updated with anything the spies are unable to tell me. But I placed a side mission on 2 of my spies there, besides gathering tail pieces. What was the mission? She asked. I wanted them to investigate if any person in their ranks was connected to the Kyuubi attack 16 years ago. Shinigora, the human form of the 9-tailed soul. Naruko nodded. She found it hard to remember the exact details of what happened that night because she was in a genjutsu after a harmless hypnotism session from Hamatoshi, my head of intelligence and interrogation. She was able to recall a few vital pieces of information from that night. That made it easy to zero in on the masked man's identity and whereabouts. As Naruko went quiet, as Naruto allowed her some time, she didn't really care that the masked man did that because now she had her brother back, and they're closer to their dream. But still, things would have been different. He was the reason. He was the reason why they were alienated. He was the reason why their mother went crazy. And Naruto was put through a lot of grief and pain after her death. And that was something that made her blood boil. As she clenched her fists, before she placed her hands together, the same ram seal that Naruto was holding, flooding chakra through her body to ease her tension, something a sound ninja had taught her. As she breathed out, the both of them holding onto the same ram seal, looking like they were opposite of a mirror. "Keep going, please," she said. Shingora said that she remembered that he had the Rinnegan, and she was able to remember his chakra when she was inside for her mother. He was one of her father's students. Lastly, he called himself Madara Uchiha. She did not know who Madara was because history lesson was not in their torture that they got from Orochimaru. But Naruto had the memory of Orochimaru and many more people that he had acquired while he was underground. He also had the time to study a lot. He's an old ninja that fought the first Hokage, Hoshirama Senju, well over 100 years ago. He even used a Kyuubi back then, just like this Madara did 16 years ago. But that is impossible. If that person is claiming to be Madara, he must be a fake, seeing that the real Madara fought Hoshirama over 100 years ago. And let's assume that they were in their late 40s when that happened. He should be well and truly dead right now. Or perhaps he's a blood clone or a fan or something. That's right, said Naruto. My people in the Akatsuki, that's the name of the S-rank organization, were able to use those three vital pieces of information to lock onto one of their members, the one that supposedly gathered all of them together. All that is left is for him to verbally admit to attacking Konoha with the Kyuubi 16 years ago. I was thinking of a way of apologizing for killing Orochimaru and Danzo myself. Naruko sighed as she shook her head. Naruto, bro, that you could kill him yourself, said Naruto. I know that killing him won't replace Orochimaru or Danzo, but I thought I told you it was fine, she said as she giggled. You're always like this, you know? But he didn't say anything. Alright, fine, she said, I'll kill him, if it will make you happy, with a smile. After that, we can dismantle the Akatsuki and go have ice cream back home. Her eyes shot open. Who's the best brother in the world, she asked. You are, she said as she pumped her fist in the air. She cheered. You're the best twin I could ever ask for. As he smiled at her, she pulled him into a tight hug. I mean it, she said. I promise, you won't regret it, bro. As she hopped off the table after releasing him, as she went over to the duffel bag, she saw at least a dozen kunais, shurikens, a katana, a tanto, a foldable bow staff, rations, 6 bucks, one more pair of spare clothes with smaller clothing, accessories like a scarf, glove, clothing, boots, underwear, and basic medical kits for those who weren't able to use medical ninjutsu. I'm going to refresh my skills. As she put the kunai pouch on her left thigh and the shuriken pouch on her left hip. Would your spy mind if I use one of his human puppets as a training dummy, she asked. He wouldn't mind, said Naruto. She took the puppet off the wall and found a stand and handed it there as she backed away from it. Oh, you know, you still haven't told me what you're doing. Naruto laughed. I'm attending an Akatsuki meeting through one of my most loyal spies, he said. Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away, underground, Akatsuki hideout, black chakra rods were one of the abilities bestowed of the Rinnegan, as it was given by the outer path. It could be used to destabilize the chakra of any person it was given to, seeing that it was made of a very hard material, and could also be used to have limited control of the person that it was inserted into. But this was only if the person given the word Rinnegan user expressed permission, or if the person was dead. The 6 paths of pain were 6 corpses. They were all filled with chakra receivers, smaller version of chakra rods. Naruto preferred not to do something like that, but there were exceptions. Conan, a voice called out, as she looked towards the red head that was sitting on the throne. He had Rinnegan eyes, but not as powerful or ominous as Naruto. Purple with black rings. As Nagato released the breath that he was holding, as the angel of the hidden ring looked towards the mirror, she saw herself reflected back at her, but with a small change. She had a black red eye with red rings in them. Her heart fluttered instantly as she realized she was overjoyed with pride after many years of not using her master. Naruto has finally decided to use her. She had 3 chakra receivers in her left ear, in her right ear, and one on her belly button, and one right on her chin. Master, she said, As she saw Naruto one-of-a-kind Rinnegan, Nagato relaxed. He thought that there was something wrong and go down and move off towards the mirror. It was minutes before all the Akatsuki members had to be present. She turned towards Nagato. Master, is finally using me, Nagato, she said. The sickly man closed his eyes and sighed. I take it you don't mind. It is an honor and a privilege to be your great king, eyes and ears, she said in a grateful, pride voice. There weren't enough chakra rods in her body to allow her to fully control her, but the ones he implanted in her, with her permission, he was able to see through her and influence her thoughts in his favor. But given how happy she was to be the eye of their king, he didn't need to influence her that much. As she bowed in front of the mirror, I am humble, my lord Naruto, she said. She didn't get any reply, but that only made her gush even more. Put on the contact. No one except Sasori must know that our lord is attending the meeting, said Nagato, as she quickly pulled out a small box from in her cloak. As she pulled out one of the contact lenses and placed it on. If our lord has decided to grace us with his magnificent presence, then it must be time. As Konan calmed herself, fighting the urge not to smile again, she flipped the mirror as it pushed into the wall, changing into the black-grey wall. As they could hear walking coming to them, as Sasori made his way inside. Nagato nodded his greeting to the fellow spy as he made a circle with his right index finger and thumb, like turning an invisible knob as Sasori stopped at the door, making Deidara slam into the back, seeing that he was rushing after him, telling him a story. As Sasori looked over to Konan, as she nodded as well. Sasori marched forward, knowing that their king would be attending this mission after the signal that Nagato just gave him. As he made his way towards his seat, Deidara, who was rubbing his nose and cursing insult towards Sasori for making him bump into him like that, made his way towards his seat as well. More and more extra ninjas came in as Nagato stayed in perfect character. As, despite that, he remembered the day, it was just like yesterday, when him and his childhood friend, all of the Hidden Rain was recruited into the Sky Forces. It was 5 years ago when the Akatsuki was just made up of Nagato, Konan, Obito, and Sasori. Most of them were miles away from the Hidden Rain, finding and recruiting other members for the organization, as Nagato had remained back with Konan when he sensed something enter the Hidden Rain. Back then, it was a 11-year-old Naruto. Flashback. The whole village was quaking to its very core as Naruto stepped inside the rain dome. He was in a long sleeve, blue shirt with dark pants, holding an umbrella over his head. The powerful child had a smile on his face as he walked, protected from any of the raindrops that were embedded with Nagato's chakra, as all that was being blocked by Naruto's red umbrella. As Naruto was on distribution to every village that Orochimaru said that was too dangerous to be attacked. It was scary, the hidden darkness, the hidden smoke, and lastly, the hidden rain. There was other villages, smaller nations that Orochimaru had slaves in, and Naruto went to them and freed all of them, and sent them all back to the Sakai Kingdom, as he was hovering over the sky close to Kumo, and the information that he had gathered from all the other villages was great, and he sent them back to Hamito Toshi. This was also the place that Sasori had told him that a criminal organization was being formed. He could already feel that he was being sensed by someone, but he didn't care. He wanted them to throw everything they had at him, for them to understand that there was no use. As Naruto, many followers wanted to be here with him, but he told them to stay behind and focus on the kingdom, that he would be fine, as many of them didn't like it much their king was out there, but they knew that he would be fine. He was one of the most powerful persons in the world that they have ever seen after all. And the villages that he made his way in never looked out their shame that had seen and walked in and completely overpowered them and their ninjas. Yes, it was rather shameful, as Naruto stopped when he sensed several large chakra signatures shooting towards him, with several smaller ones, seemed to be a small army. As Naruto looked up to see several missiles coming at him, they all exploded before they could reach him. He then felt something tug on him, the universal pull. Naruto simply destroyed the gravity force, making the ground underneath him burst. The dust settled around, as Naruto looked to see 6 persons standing there, with one of them flying with paper wings. They had the Rinnegan, but theirs were purple, with black rings. He then felt another tug on his shirt, as his eyes flashed to one of the Deva path, that was trying to pull him. Naruto simply raised his hand as Deva path was pulled off the ground like a bullet. He spun around Naruto in a circle before he was thrown violently. With so much speed and force, Konan couldn't even dodge him, as he smashed right into her, the both of them got slammed right into the Kage's tower as Konan was knocked unconscious from the blunt trauma force. As Naruto simply smiled, the ground then opened up as a human and the Naruko path got swallowed up straight to their necks. He flicked his wrist as a centipede that was charged on him got smashed by invisible force, destroying the animal summon and spraying the green blood in the air. As Naruto raised his hand, the animal path was pulled down to the ground with tremendous force before he was pulled, dragged in the dirt straight towards Naruto. Naruto grabbed the path by his neck and smashed it into the ground with so much force the neck cracked. The Predapat was watching all of this. The boy, he hadn't moved from his spot, and yet he was completely obliterating all of them. He had the abilities of the Rinnegan as well, but he was using them with so much skill and experience. If he didn't see him, he would have guessed that he was older than him. The Predapat arms were ripped off as his legs were blown out of their sockets as well. Pulling the pad over to him, Naruto grabbed him by the hair and dragged him on the ground, walking over to the trembling Rain Ninjas. The Rain Ninjas couldn't understand. What? How? More than a few of them fled with the other ones. Hell, their weapons that were shaking in their hand. Naruto heard the war cry of the Azura Path, the last path to be dealt with. Naruto spun and threw the path that he was carrying in his hand straight towards the Azura Path before raising his hand. Almighty push, he whispered. The only way that Naruto could describe that almighty push was like a foot from the sky had came down from God and grind the Azura Path and the Prida Path into pace. As Naruto looked at the remaining Rain Ninjas move, as they quickly obey his order, scared out of their mind. Meanwhile, Nagato hobbled around his bedroom as he pushed open the door to see the amused face of Naruto. I see. You have the same eyes as me, said Naruto. He closed his umbrella and placed it right under his arm. Nagato stumbled away. No, we don't. Your eyes. As Nagato fell back on his bed, crawling away from the boy. You truly have the eyes of a god. He hasn't felt fear like this since he was younger. He couldn't move. It was utter fear. My eyes are nothing compared to yours, he said. A smirk came on Naruto's lips. Then I have one single proposition for you. Serve me, Naruto said. End of flashback. The only explanation for Konan's devotion to Naruto was that almost after her head was nearly split open, something in her brain had clicked. There was no explanation why she had gotten a loyalty seal and also tattooed Naruto's name over her heart. Like Sasori, the both of them were given their ranks, and they were also gold ranks. For their years of loyalty, Naruto will carve the hidden rain out of the ground and fuse it with the Sky Kingdom. It will not be a part of the tournament that he will hold and make the others fight in his enjoyment. Naruto was a bit hesitant to do so because he didn't want any other people. Yes, people, because he separated those people from the Sky Kingdom citizens to incorporate the entire hidden village into his home. But his next best option was to have the hidden rain as a physical, flying state, chained to the Sky Kingdom, but to be its own facility. He didn't care if the people of his kingdom thought that the people of Hidden Rain was lower tier people. He was just rewarding the loyal Konan and Nagato. But despite that, he still promised to use his resources to protect them. This included soldiers that he had in the village and the low-level technology that he allowed the growners to have. His aim was to keep them loyal and give them things to make them be sure not to have any doubts in their heart. Nagato knew that Naruto didn't want the Hidden Rain to be incorporated into his Sakai Kingdom, but he accepted having the godly teen protect over his home, and Konan was just eternally grateful towards Naruto for seeing the Hidden Rain and gracing it with his presence. It was why she submitted her body and her soul to give Naruto the use as she saw fit. And using Nagato Rinnegan, Naruto confirmed that his was the strongest in history. First, Order of Basin said Nagato. As the Gedo statue was behind him, 4 tail beasts was trapped inside of it, locked in stasis. Zetsu, have you gotten the information where the remaining tail are? Those tail beasts and their holders just disappear off the earth. The plant man, who was just a white half, seeing that the black half was still on the field, monitoring, nodded. Only the 3 spies knew where the beasts truly were. The 2, 3 and 8 disappear after Sakai Kingdom attacked their village. I'm assuming they took them back to their kingdom, wherever that kingdom is. The 7th tail has been in hiding for the past 2 years, since Kakazo and Hidan attacked Waterfall and failed to retrieve her. They don't want the other attack, so they threw her out. I was able to follow a trail that she had left, but strangely enough it went cold in Iron Country. My best guess is that she discarded her identity and created an entirely new one, and chose to reside permanently with the samurais. Even with her hyperactivity as a tail beast holder, I'm certain that she became a samurai. But when I was following her tail, I encountered some strange and unusual information, for lack of a better word. It seems that a 7-tail holder spent roughly a week in a 5-star hotel in the Lightning capital before she moved towards the Iron Country, which is far north of Lightning. She was able to move from Lightning to the northern end of the country in 2 days. That seems impossible. A trip like that would take at least 2 weeks. The 7-tail has wings. Maybe she just flew there, using most of her chakra. I've been watching her since she was a baby. She does not know how to do that with her tail beast, said Zetsu. And she had no money to her name whatsoever after she had been kicked out. Only clothes on her back, a single kunai pouch and a water bottle. It would literally require her to sell her kidneys or something like that for her to pay for that 5-star hotel. She stayed a week. I saw the logs of the hotel. Maybe some rich guy or lady took her in and paid for her to stay, said Deidara. That would be awfully generous. Maybe they were banging her in there. Like they kidnap a Jinjuliki with a very high control for tail beast and turn her into a sex slave, Kisame said, as he laughed. He's right, that girl Fu. She was able to give Hidan and I a bit of trouble until reinforcements arrived, said Kakuzu. I didn't say that she was turned into a sex slave, I told you. I watched that girl grow up. I know how strong she is, and she's stubborn. Stubbornly strong, said Zetsu. I also remember saying that her trail became cold in the Iron Country. I am beginning to believe that the Sekai Country has been a major influence on various phenomena that are going on right now and events. They have shown so far that they are incredibly valuable. So it is not far out of the way for them to pay for the girl hotel room and transport her from north straight to the Iron that quickly. I am not completely sure, but I think they recruited the girl, help her change her identity, and set her as a spy in the land of Iron. Are you sure about this? Asked Sasori. Zetsu looked at him sharply. 100%. I might have not been fast enough to catch the Kumo invasion, and I just barely saw the Mist invasion, but all of the soldiers are equipped with seals on their boots that allow them limited ability to fly, and they have large metal vehicles that transport them. It's not very hard to imagine that 7-tails was taken to one and escorted to the land of Iron. I tried to sneak into one of the vehicles, but I was painfully repelled by seals I never thought that existed, and I would have been caught if I didn't run away. All this talk about the Sky Kingdom, as Obito was taking in all of it, and they have not even discussed anything about 9-tails. I want you to go to Iron Country and find the girl, no matter how long it takes. If we find her, we can take her when the time comes. By this, Nagato made after the 3-tails was found and sealed. But they all knew, Nagato, Konan, and Sasori, that would never happen. Flashback. An exhausted girl was lying on her back. Someone was walking around her as she saw the 14-year-old king. Around him was all of his soldiers, a large portion of them. She could barely see behind them. And Nora was there as well, with her hand over her heart, bowing to her king. I know your pain, Fu. No you don't, Fu said. She closed her eyes tightly as Naruto looked at her. I know your pain, he said once again. She opened her eyes, but this time she kept quiet. I was thrown out of my former home with my twin sister by my own father, handed over to my godfather Orochimaru of the Sanin, by said father to be experimented on and trained to be a pawn of my former home. Fu bit her lips quietly as tears went down her eyes. I and my sister never had any friends in our former home, but we were happy to be alone, very happy. My father, however, he despised us for things that was out of our control, and he cast us away to our godfather. Not really caring what happened after that. He allowed us to be treated like test subject for 7 years, broken, poisoned, and cracked, so we could serve a home that never loved us. As he stopped and kneeled down right in front of Fu. Her hair was shadowed in her eyes as she looked up, peeping through her green hair, as she looked at him. Tell me, Fu, your former home made you train from sunrise to sunset to work for them, things you did not want to do. Also, you can become a better puppet. Am I wrong? Fu has been denied the truth her entire life, her home. They never loved her, not once. More tears filled up her eyes. Naruto reached forward as he wiped away her tears. I know exactly how you're feeling, Fu. I know your pain, Naruto said. Will you believe me if I told you there was an entire kingdom of people just like you and us. People who have had the worst luck, flying right above our heads. She looked up just for a second before her eyes returned back to the ground. She shook her head as Naruto looked over his shoulder as Nora approached him. She dropped to one knee. Her name is Nora. She's one of my division heads. We were in the same slave pen once, as he pointed at a random soldier that had on a mask over his lower half of his face. He lost the skin on the lower half of his face because of a chemical my godfather used, and it cannot be regrown. He pointed at a woman with short, white hair and eye patch. She had an entire telescope shoved in her eye and pulled out from the back of her head. As Fu looked at each and every one of them, all of my people had been pulled from their homes, rejected like outcasts, sold into slavery by their own families, cursed, kidnapped, to never be returned. Just like me, Fu whispered. My lord, if you will permit me to say, Naruto nodded. Our lord has been the kindest, most generous person that we have ever met. He allowed us to follow him. Even if we were burdened, he taught us how to protect ourselves. We fight for our king because he gave us our humanity back and gave us all a purpose. Yes, all of the gold rank members said to what their division head just agreed to. King Naruto saw something in us that we didn't see in ourselves. He gave us a home. He gave us family. He gave us everything that we have ever wanted. To die for him would be the largest honor we can give to our king. Anytime, anywhere. Yes, all of the man said. As Fu looked up at Naruto standing in front of her. What can I possibly do, she said. 5 minutes ago she was severely surrounded by the golden rank. She was weakened by Nora, who sealed off her tail beast. With the speed that she was subdued, what could this king possibly use her for? Her body, she thought. There's always a proper way to get stronger. You just haven't found a reason good enough. But before you can get strong, I want you to swear your eternal loyalty to me, said Naruto. Fu wasted no time at all. I swear on my soul and my body to serve you loyally. Use me however you wish, my king. She wanted to be part of her home. She wanted to be part of a place that she was needed. She wanted it so badly. Good. You are now under the protection of me and my people. You are now part of my people. As Naruto placed his hand on her shoulders and straightened her up to look at him. I will give you your chance to get stronger, Fu. All you have to do is take it. I will, my lord, she said. As Naruto released her shoulder. I have a mission for you while you become stronger. Yes, my lord. End of flashback. That was 2 years ago. She was called by the king personally to be given her rank. And that same day she was given a katana blade. 7. That was what she named her blade. After telling Naruto, he gave her that tiny smile and ruffled her hair. It was possibly the best thing that ever happened to her. She almost passed out when it happened. As Teiwaya and the second, Konoha spy, wasn't too happy of their beloved king ruffling this girl here. So when it was time, Teiwaya had named her sniper rifle, singing Angel Blade. And the next Konoha spy had called her kickboxing glove, Giant Slayer. As Naruto knew what they wanted, so he ruffled their hair, so they wouldn't fight outside the palace. Fu didn't like it, but she kept her mouth shut. Fubuki, Kimaka. The girl lifted her head up as she looked over the man that called to her. A grey-haired man with bandage dropped on his forehead and his neck. He looked at her as he poured green tea into a cup as he handed it to the girl. As he poured some tea in his own cup, the girl looked at the leader of the Fire Country. I have a mission for you, one of the highest importance, he said. I accept, sir, but is that why you wanted us to have tea? You could have told me in your office. As her tanned face was neutral. I also want your personal counsel. With all due respect, sir, I think the council of the Iron Country would be better suited for something like this. I'm sorry, she said, for my outburst. I was improper. It's fine. I'm simply going off of your knowledge of being a former ninja. I want to call all of the major village to come forward to a summit so we can discuss the rising threat of the Sakai Kingdom. As one unit, they have shown us that they are superior on their knowledge of sealing work and technology, but still, no one is impossible the best. Yes, sir, the girl said, as the girl placed her hand right on her lap. On the back, on her kimono was the kanji for 7, plastered in gold. As she had on her silver rank underneath all of that, they were under a chameleon haze, so you would not notice at all. She also had on her red obi wrapped around her waist. As she blinked her red eyes, special Sakai Kingdom contact lenses that hide her true eyes. As she also had white hair that went down her shoulders now. It was a wig to hide her real hair. What is the mission, sir? She asked. I want you to find out the full extent of what the Sekai forces did to Lightning, Spring, and Water Country. Witness reports, survivors, clues, anything. That gives us an idea of their ability and limits, so we can plan to take them down. If you are able to find out the exact location of the kingdom, so that we can attack them before they attack us, do so. I will not let you down, sir, she said. The samurai leader trusted her. Yes, he trusted her a lot. She was high up in the ranks already, even though she was a former ninja. So it was not odd for him to give these kind of information to her or send her out on solo missions. 2 years ago, after she had been dropped off, she was wearing her wig and her contacts. She was not welcome into the samurai society. Simply having the knowledge of a ninja that was taboo to samurai and was not welcome in their country. No one wanted her in their shops, no one wanted her in their homes. No hotel wanted to allow her in, despite having the money, courtesy of the Sekai kingdom. No parents even want their children to look at her. She was treated like the dirt beneath their feet. But one thing that didn't make her run away was a trust that she had in her hero Naruto. Most of her skills were taught as she spent months in the forest learning the samurai profession and skill. And those skills is what she used to stop a small village from being overrun by bandits. It did not change much of their appearance to her, but it allowed them to make her stay in a small hut just nearly to the end of the village. After saving the village 2 more times, they allowed her to sit in the meetings. Mifune had gotten wind of a highly skilled samurai in one of his countries, in the border of the land of iron, that has been saving a smaller village from bandits. He observed her for 4 more months before he called for her, as he evaluated her and placed her in the proper rank. The first thing that caught his attention was her blade, a katana that she called Seven. It was made out of a strange red metal with a black hilt and a guard. There were several seals that were engraved in the metal, and all of them looked to be at least level 9 because none of their seal specialists could analyze them from first glance. After asking her name, Fubuki Mamakai, as Fu had been going by that persona, as he asked her about her blade. She told him that her master had given it to her before he sent her away. She told him that she was bowed by her pride to not tell of her blade unless she was in combat. He could respect that and also her resolve to become a true samurai. After her evaluation, she had been given the elder rank, just right under their leader, Mifune, which 15 other members held, and all of them are over 50. So you can see how far she had excelled, being such a young girl in that rank already. As the villages she was protecting were given 5 master rank samurai to protect, and the samurai started to give her the respect that she has gotten from her rank. When do I leave, sir? Asked Fu in her disguise. After I hear your opinion on how to best appeal with the ninjas, said Mifune. Time skip. 3 days later, at the border of the inner rain. Hey, coach, said Naruko as she punched at the air. As Naruto turned towards her, they were standing 5 feet away from the rain border, staring at nothing particular. Rather, it was Naruto that was in deep thought, as Naruko was waiting for his order to proceed inside. Got any tips for me, she said as she kept on punching at the rain, swinging around. This guy that fought father was able to hold his own, so I'm guessing he's really strong now. Maybe even stronger than Orochimaru. I have no idea what to expect from the guy, to be honest. As she threw her uppercut before placing her hands on her hip, as she turned towards Naruto fully. Naruto smiled that she didn't let her pride take over. She asked for assistance to take down this unknown foe that she had no idea what was capable of. I'm glad you asked, sis. Do you remember what Godfather said about the Uchiha clan? Yeah, their Sharingan can predict their opponent movements. Yes, but that can be dealt with if you're faster than they can predict. They can also cast very strong illusions, whether you look into them or not. But it is stronger when they look into your eyes. So you need to be vigilant that you're not under illusion at all times. She nodded. Noted, she said. Also, like you said, this guy was able to fight on close to equal footing with her father. So he's not someone to underestimate, no matter how tempting it seems. Sorcerer said that when he was recruited, the masked man was serious, but his facade in the Akatsuki was playful. You can play around with him, I don't really mind, but just be watchful for any tricks. Alright, she said. I'm not very sure about this, but I'll tell you. After I sucked out Danzo's soul, I was able to gather his memories, and you were? She said. He stopped himself, not to want to go into the ability for him to gain the memories from the ability of the Rinnegan. It is something that my Rinnegan allowed me to do, he said. Like I said, I was able to gather from his memories that he suspected Sharingan had 2 higher forms. There's a usual 3 Tomo form, another level, and then the final level. He called the next level the Mangetsu, but I'm not sure about the last one. It's going to take a couple of hours to fully explain the crazy theories that old man was thinking about the Mangetsu Sharingan. But the important part is that the illusion are increased, and the prediction is much better. Outside of those things, I don't know anything else, I'm sorry. Naruko scoffed as she patted his shoulder. It will be fine, don't worry about it. As her tanto was strapped on her back as she was in her combat uniform. If you are having trouble, don't hesitate to ask for my help. I will crush his head like a grape, said Naruto. I know, she said, I promise. They bump fists. Casual entrance or epic entrance, he asks. Epic, she said. Time skip. 5 minutes later, as the masked man was standing on the roof of the tallest tower as he fell in the rain, was washing all of his problems away. It made him feel something close to happiness. Beside him, sitting a leg away, was Kisame and Itachi. Kisame for obvious reasons, but for Itachi, it was like he was atoning for all the deaths that he caused. The night he killed his parents and scarred his brother for life always played over and over in his mind. That is why he didn't sleep for more than an hour. All 3 of them looked up and they felt a massive bone exploding chakra above them. Kisame was shocked when he saw a massive ball of fire, a giant meteor coming down from space. Obito opened his mouth slowly just as the village alarm started to spring off. What the? But guys, be innocent, so right here, if you want the next part, if you already know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as they posted. Remember to share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, thank you for those who have watched this coming your way, and I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. But for now, I hope you guys enjoy. Peace.